Why do some men do what they do? Why did Elon decide to put rockets in space instead of just retire? He was rich after PayPal.
It's valid.
Why?
Yeah, that's fair.
Why did Alexander the Great need all that land? Why did men go to the Antarctic to try and cross the icy, barren, empty plains and freeze to death to just be the first men who did it? Why do that? You can't even put it on Facebook back then. Who gives a shit? Some men are built different, sir. Some men want to do it because it hasn't been done. And that is the reason why. They do not need much more motivation than the fact they will be first. There isn't much motivation to get on a rocket and be the first man on the moon, because the probability is you're gonna die or get stuck up there and never make it back. Or even if you do go and you do come back, half the people on Earth won't believe you went at all. So why would you do that unless you're just that kind of guy? The fact that you will say to me, but it puts a target on your head, shows me that God will never, ever give you my position of influence, because along the way, you will have so many chances to be a pussy, which you will take, which will prevent you from ever getting to my echelon of capability and influence and power. Because if I gave a fuck about having a target on my head at all, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I wouldn't have the ability to do the things I can do.
That's fair.
So I don't care. I'm doing it because it must be done. There's an opportunity for it to be done, and I can do it better than anybody else.
But I could say this to you, is that there's a lot of things that you could do first. Doesn't necessarily make it right. Like you could be like the first person to kill 40 people in a presidential suite of a hotel room. It doesn't like make it right. Like being first and right doesn't necessarily correlate.
Okay, but launching a crypto coin which is based on dignity and honor, I think it's pretty difficult to draw parallels. I think you should go through life with respect.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems we have in the world today is too many people have just become comfortable with being idiots. You talked about rage bait.
Yeah.
99% of streamers are idiots. They're running around insulting and abusing and pranking innocent people and playing stupid games and insulting people they don't know. I don't find any of that funny. I don't think any of that's appealing in any way. When I see these idiot streamers running up to innocent people and scaring them or insulting other people they barely know for views or all of these kind of things, I think it's extremely infantile. And I think that not too long ago in the world, it would get you hurt. And I go through the world with respect as much as possible. I try not to disrespect people because I understand where I'm from. If you disrespect people, real bad things can happen. So I'm not the kind of person who's gonna sit on Twitter and just insult random people. I think that's stupid. Even if they can't find me, even if they can't get to me, even if they don't have the capability, I think God himself is watching, and I don't think God likes people who do that kind of thing. I think that you pay the price one way or another if you're gonna go through life and be that kind of person. You should be respectful to everybody. I'd be respectful right up to the point I hit somebody in the face. Why wouldn't I be? That's just how I am as a person. So I think being respectful is extremely important. I think it's what the world is missing. I think when I talk about the masculine, I think the masculine naturally oppose enslavement, any man with balls anyway, which is few and far between. But the reason that we naturally oppose enslavement is because we understand we were the ones who got murdered. If you look in days of old, if the Romans conquered the Greeks, all the military age males were killed. The women weren't killed. The women were added to harems. They were sex slaves and they had kids and they got integrated into the new tribe. Whereas the men had to die on the spot. So we're naturally more xenophobic, we're naturally more racist, we're naturally more territorial, we're naturally more opposing to enslavement, we're naturally more of these things because we understand that once those things come into power, once another power structure comes into play, which isn't us, we're gonna die. Women aren't like that. Women are pro-migration and pro-liberal ideas and pro-free think and pro-LGBT, pro all this shit, because they know that it doesn't matter what happens. In the end, they just set up a sex slave and it's like whatever. But most of them are sex slaves anyway. They're already with some guy for money and
that's a crazy
paying their rent. So that's why they're not afraid of it. But the masculine frame is afraid of these things because once an opposing viewpoint to your own comes and they have the power, who's right?
How many women?
What did I say? We're looping back to what I said at the beginning. Who is right?
Damn.
Who's right? Answer. It's a question. The man who can kill you is right.
Yeah.
Who's right? The people with the most force are right, always. So when another
wins.
Of course, who wins is right.
I've never really thought about that before. It's an interesting take, though.
Well, it's the truth. This is all of history is based on who was right and who was wrong, and it's very simple, who won and who lost. This is why you have to curate your circle so heavily in life. Because if you're hanging around with men who can be psyoped, even if their loyalty to you is absolute, even if they love you with all their heart, they're worth nothing
Yeah.
when a psyop comes along.
Valid.
Which is also why we can apply this to relationships.
Let's apply it.
We could say this to everything, right?
Yeah.
A man says, "Oh, I trust my wife. I love her with all my heart." I say, "Yeah, but she's a female. She loves you too, and she means it when she says it. Of course she does, and she's loyal to you because she loves you. Yeah. But she's a female. She can be scared. She can be intimidated. She can be psyoped. Things can change. Yeah. When she sits in front of a police interview, and they tell her that you're going away for life." And that she's going to go with you unless she signs that paper. She will sign it because she's self-interested, and she'll just go and be someone else's sex slave. That's what she'll do, and she'll just move on and leave you to die. That's the reality of the world.
Yeah.
So what you're actually advertising to the world right now, and I hope you do not cut this out, sir, is that your friendship is worth nothing. Because you can be psyoped into the other team near instantly. You are probably the kind of person who was mad at the unvaccinated. People like me who were refusing to get vaccinated while traveling the entire world. You have to understand.
Crazy, though?
No, what's crazy is this. Have you looked in the mirror? Have you looked in the mirror and looked yourself in the eye and felt deep shame for aiding the government in one of the largest psyops of human history, for enslaving people to the point where they missed the deaths of their grandparents? You should feel ashamed. Once again, I'm in an interesting legal predicament. But this actually ties back into what we were saying earlier about selling your soul. Because you don't own anything else. I don't think many people at home actually understand that they don't own anything. You buy a house, you own it until you don't pay the property taxes, then they come and take it off you. How do they take it off you? Violence. Police come. If you disobey the police, you get shot. They come with violence. Then you go to court and say, "That's my house. I paid for it. My whole family have lived there. It's mine." And they say, "Ah, but you didn't pay your property taxes, and we put the taxes up, even though we've just randomly raised them, and you can't afford it because you lost your job because you were locked in your house because of Corona. We still took your house off you." How do we decide if they were right? Well, they have the guns. So they're right. Doesn't matter how unfair we think it is. They're right, and you lost it. It's the same with money in a bank account. It's the same with Bitcoin. I mean, unless you have a boating accident, if you leave it on an exchange, trust me, they'll take it.
Which is crazy, by the way. I heard you say that.
They'll take it. They'll find it. If they get your computers, laptops, etc., they'll find it. It's very hard to be rich now because most people are so concerned with making money that they never sit and think, what would I actually do?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If I gave you $50 million today, let's say I gave you 1 month's salary.
Yeah.
Take it. Where would you put it?
I was going to ask you this question.
Because you put it in the bank, they'll take it.
I don't know.
On an exchange, they'll take it. You can try and put it in on a Trezor and hide the Trezor.
You're going to get killed, right?
Well, you have to make sure no one knows about that Trezor.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure they don't put you in a police cell and say, look, if you don't tell us the password or you don't tell us the recovery key, the seed phrase, you're staying in this room for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You put it in gold. How are you going to move gold around?
Yeah, what do you do?
What do you do with it? You buy property, but then you have to
take the property.
Well, they'll take the property. So then you have to sit and analyze all the world's governments.
You buy Bugattis, they take the cars.
Of course. So you have to sit and say, well, which government is least likely to take things away from me? And then you realize you're living inside of the American empire. So any government which you'd like to live in, at least, the American empire can pressure. If you're important enough, if you're not insignificant, you have a house in Thailand. The American government can, via their embassy, pressure the Thai government to take the house. Thai police turn up. Ching, ching, choo, 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 choo. You start arguing with them. You don't speak Thai, whatever. They kick you out. It's not yours. They're right. They got the guns. Welcome to the real world. So what do you even do with money? And then what do you do with money once you go to jail? What do you do when the mother of your children is crying on the phone saying, I need money? And you're like, well, this call's recorded. So you're just going to have to wait.
Damn.
I'll fix it.
This call is recorded.
Wait. Oh, but, shut up.
Shut up, yeah.
The call is recorded.
Wow.
But women, they're women. Oh, yeah, but I need to... So here's... I'm going to answer your question.
Cool.
Then you realize that power is loyalty and loyalty is power.
Power is loyalty and loyalty is power.
So the only way you can truly set yourself up to go to jail...
Is have loyalty.
...is to have other people who can fill your place when you're in jail.
How do you vet loyalty?
Well, that's another whole very interesting topic. But the point I'm asking, hypothetical situation. Let's say a hypothetical scenario. Let's imagine there was this very tall, handsome, smart, funny, interesting, rich, charismatic...
5'11".
No. He has to be at least 6'3", called Top G, who's in jail. And let's imagine that he was being hit with a global embargo for money laundering, part of a bullshit case. Yeah. And that every government in the world was trying to shut him up and take all of his things. And the mother of one of his children needed to eat. He would need somebody who he knows, who has no social media presence, who isn't known by anybody, who doesn't exist, who had access to hundreds of millions of dollars. And he'd have to trust that person to the point where they would never rob him. Power is loyalty and loyalty is power. If you have genuine power and genuine loyalty around you, then you're very hard to hurt because they can't arrest everyone you've ever known.
No.
They can't put everyone you've ever known in jail.
No.
If I wanted to buy a $25 million penthouse, I could just buy it. I could just go up to a friend who I've known for 25 years and say, you now own a $25 million penthouse. Thank you. And if I want to sell it, you're going to sign this. And say, yeah, cool, boom, boom, done. And I can trust him. Now, most people can't do that because that person would end up snaking them. And that person would end up snaking them because that person could be perhaps, I don't know, psyoped into snaking them.
How would that happen?
Easily, a female, typically. A female, they'd get with a woman. I'd trust this man. We'd buy $25 million worth of assets. It would all be in his name.
Yeah.
Me and the guy would be best friends for a very long time. He'd get with the woman would be in his ear. I want a handbag. I want a handbag. I want diamonds. I want a car. He said, I ain't got any money. Well, you got this house. It's not mine, it's Andrew's. Well, why are you taking all the risk? Why is it in your name? You know he's a criminal. You know he's a human trafficker. He's taking the risk. You're gonna go to jail. You should at least ask for something. Why don't you ask for $1 million? What's he paying you for doing this? Same time she's jerking him off. Eventually. And that's why you can't be around men who can be psyoped. Because women are the #1 psyopers.
Damn.
And that's why you can't trust women, because they can be psyoped themselves. This is the exact point of life. So you have to find men who are rigid in their mind state and loyal to honor and dignity and mission and creed above all things, which is so difficult to find. But if you do have those things, you're near impossible to hurt. For example, in this hypothetical scenario, this man's house could be raided and they could take all of his gold and his diamond watches and all of his money and seize all his bank accounts and all his 25 supercars and all his properties globally, and they could take everything. And then he'd get out of jail and have 25 new cars in a week. Be interesting how that could perhaps happen. But that would be down to having true loyalty around him. But birds of a feather flock together, right?
Ooh.
So you're never gonna have true loyalty if you're not truly loyal yourself. You're only gonna be around men who are prepared to die for you if you're prepared to die for them. This is why you look at the most powerful street gangs and mafias on the earth. They don't have to be rich and important. They can just be guys on a street corner. But if they're loyal to each other and ready to die together, they run that street corner. That's it. Loyalty is power and power is loyalty. So this is the bottom line of it. So you can't go through life what most people do now because they're selfish, which is a feminine trait to be selfish. They say, I want men around me I can trust, and I want men around me who would die for me, but I don't want to die for them. Well, that's not real. There's no light without dark. If you're prepared to make the sacrifice for them, they'll make the sacrifice for you. The reason I have people I can trust on that level is because they know that if me and them were walking down the street and 20 men with blades came up, we would die together. That's the decision we made. So when I'm in jail, I know that everything's gonna be okay. That's how you set your life up. There's no other way to do it. If you wanna be alone in this world, it's always ever been a band of brothers against evil. It's never been anything else. You can go back any point in human history. Sooner or later, it got to a point where it was you and your boys, either your gang, your army, your team, whatever, against them and their boys. And whoever was right was the one who won. And that's all it's ever been. It's all it's ever going to be. That's what it comes down to at the end.
Whoever's right is the one that won.
That's right. And the government's going to come for, it came for me. If you continue on this path, if you manage to become successful one day, they're going to come for you. And you have to sit down and ask yourself and look in the mirror and say, if they came for me with the full force of the most powerful government on the planet, who would pay my bills? Who would take care of my woman? Who would pay for my kid? Who would do these things? And you have to ask yourself that question.
So it's impossible to be rich and a lone wolf.
It's impossible to be much and be a lone wolf. This whole idea of Rambo, like you see in the movies, that one guy.
It's a cool movie.
Well, it's a cool movie, and Rambo's the man.
Yeah, Rambo's lit.
He's the man.
Yeah.
But one guy doesn't win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how capable you are. I'm a retired 4-time kickboxing world champion, but if 50 men attack me, it might be close. This is how it works in life. People don't have to be that special in numbers. So if you have a group of 100 men, even if you're looking at something, we can apply it to crypto. This is a crypto podcast, and you like the word perspicacity. So yes,
that's a great word.
So let's use it. Your perspicacity is amplified.
It's 5?
It's amplified. Yeah. Perspicacity is amplified by the number of people who are all looking for the same thing. Look at lemmings, right? They all look in different directions for the herd. Most people are lemmings. Most people are not lions. I'm a lion, let's say. I still have a pride, right? But lemmings need people more than anything. If you're a normal person, the #1 thing you need is brotherhood. Because you're a fucking lemming. You don't stand a chance. You need a bunch of people looking in different directions and try to check which crypto coins coming, which vaccine they're gonna make me take. Because you're a little dumbass. You haven't got any weapons. You're a total nobody.
Yeah.
So if you think you're gonna get through this world by yourself, you don't stand a chance, because even enough hyenas can kill a lion when it's on its own. This is the reality of the world. So you need to have brotherhood. Brotherhood is everything. It's always been everything. Brotherhood has been the basis of my life. with my brother, my biological brother, and my best friends. I still live with my best friends to this day. I've had women try and psyop me out of it. Why do you live with your friends? Because they can fight and I can trust them. Why do you want me to live with you? So I can buy you shit. Is that it? No, you want to sit and watch TV and me buy you gifts? Is that what you think that's appealing to me? And I can sit around dealing with you? No, that's not appealing to me on any level. They can fight and I can trust them. In any scenario, police raid, Albanian raid, Serbians raid, whoever comes with the AKs, we're all ready to die. You'd just be screaming and running the opposite direction, you're no use to me in the brutal realities of the world. I don't want to live with you. I want to live with them.
It is a brutal reality.
And that's the reality of the world. You're always going to be more competitive with brotherhood on your side. You're never going to be competitive as a lone wolf. It doesn't matter how good you are. You'll just be outnumbered and destroyed. So absolutely, you can't be rich without brotherhood. More interestingly, you can't be poor without brotherhood. How the fuck are you going to be a brokey without brotherhood? That's even worse.
Yeah, low key.
Well, there's strength in numbers, right? You can go to the poorest countries in the world. They have the most kids. Why? Because one of them might make some money. If they all beg, we'll have some money. Some of them will survive. Like, it's just strength in numbers, right? We can't have one kid in a village in Africa or in India. It's not how it works. There's massive strength in numbers. So you should be prioritizing your brotherhood. It's one of the quickest and easiest ways to get rich. A lot of my fans have moved in with their friends or moved in with their biological brothers and amplified their lives. It's not hard to work out that if you have 5 people pooling an income and you all trust each other, you can acquire assets quickly. You don't even need to have high incomes. Yeah. If you have 5 men pooling their assets,
anything.
Well, you can buy a Lambo, you buy a house, you can buy something that's going to generate profit. It's not difficult to do if you can find men you can trust. And that's the way society was until recently. Now men are separated. Why are we separated? We're separated because we're not as powerful. If you had 10 men living in one house, it'd be a lot harder to psyop all 10 to get the vaccine because all 10 would probably unify around a table and say, are we doing this or not? If you have one guy, it's easier. One guy with a chick, even easier. It's even easier to get him because his woman's like, just do it. No, just do it for the grandma. Oh, okay. Men in groups are scary to the establishment because men in groups were resilient. Men in groups are, to a degree, I wouldn't say confrontational, but I would say that consequences seem a lot less real when you're with your boys. You go out drinking, you go out, you get in a fight, you don't care, you're with the guys, you're like part. It's something that we've evolved with for when we're supposed to go to war. Shoot us then, fuck you. It's just inside of us. So they don't want us to be that way. So that's why they deliberately attack the idea of brotherhood constantly. They don't like the idea of brotherhood. They'll call it gay or there's homo or men shouldn't do that. You should live with your chick and your chick's crying, I want a new car, I want a new car. And men just get dragged away from it. And this is a Western world phenomenon. It doesn't happen in other countries. I'll give you an example. I know a really good Islamic guy. I grew up in Luton, which is a Islamic town inside of the Islamic country of Great Britistan. And there you have a lot of Muslim people, right? And there was a Muslim guy I knew, and he worked in a chicken and chip shop, a fast food restaurant. He drove a Ferrari. So how do you drive a Ferrari working in a fast food restaurant? He said, well, I have 5 brothers, and we all pool our incomes, and we all live in one house. I said, okay, well, are you married? He goes, yeah, all our wives live in the house, and they cook and they clean. They're all in the house cooking and cleaning, and us 5 guys are all out making money. We put our money together. We bought the house, we bought a second house, we bought this Ferrari, we bought that 3rd house, and they all had very normal jobs. That's the Islamic mindset, right? Those guys were from Bangladesh. You find a Western guy. He grows up in his family home, and then he gets a girlfriend, and he wants to live with his girlfriend. So he disappears with his girlfriend. And then he's paying all the bills. His girlfriend doesn't want to work. She's on Instagram. She needs to get likes. She's a supermodel, of course. So she's getting Instagram likes. He's paying all the bills, paying rent, paying utilities, has to get a nice car to impress her, gets in debt for the car. Then his brother does the same thing in another direction. So now you got these 2 white young men paying rent to Bangladeshis, paying all their rent up, getting in debt, trying to impress women they're not even going to marry, sitting there in an endless debt spiral because their brotherhood's been destroyed. If those 2 men were to move in together and work together to own an asset, things would be different. So brotherhood is the bottom line to most things, and most cultures still understand this. It's one of the biggest ailments with the West is that we've forgotten this point. It's not about being rich or poor. It's about being a man as a whole. Brotherhood is everything. This is what we're designed, it biologically evolved to be. Let me ask you another question, because you live in LA, and it's very interesting.
You been to LA?
I mean, I've been to LA, unfortunately.
Do you like it?
No. If you got in trouble, would you call your girlfriend?
Probably call my roommates.
You'd call your boys. That's who you call, right? Like, what would you call your girl for? It'll be okay.
She would get a call.
I mean, you'd let her know you're fine, but you wouldn't say, get down here now. I mean, I hope not. I don't know, you're from LA, maybe. I don't know how it works over there. I don't know, probably. Maybe it's like, in my world, you don't call them when you have trouble because they can't do anything. They can't do anything. They can either say it's going to be fine when they have no idea whether it's going to be fine or not, or they can get panicked and scared themselves and add to the trouble. That's it. All my trouble, I tell my brother or I tell my guys. They know my trouble, not some chick. She can't do anything. So brotherhood is everything. If you got in real trouble, you'd call the boys. If you couldn't call the cops. And if you call the cops, you want men to come. A whole bunch of blonde chicks turn up. You're like, where's the dudes with the guns? Where's the machine gun? That's the reality. What's the bottom line? What's the true bottom line of reality and of humanity, of this civility we live under? What's the bottom line?
It's a war.
Violence. That's right. And who can be violent? Men. This is the way it works.
Here's my first question. My biggest question is you've burst onto the scene in the last couple months. It really feels like the last month. The Twitter content has been heavily focused on crypto and on Daddy, so on and so forth. My question for you is, you have like very publicly in many podcasts, interviews, Andrew Tate videos stated that you will never at any point endorse or launch a crypto coin. And if I'm like remembering correctly, I think there's 3 coins that have been endorsed, then potentially a 4th, the one that's going to be launched, which we'll talk about, the real world coin. We'll get into that next. My question for you is just like, what changed?
Well, there's one person I don't want to make an enemy of.
Okay.
And that's God.
Okay.
And God doesn't like the lazy. Lazy people shouldn't ever really be lucky. He doesn't like the lazy. He doesn't like people who don't work hard for things. And my problem with crypto as a whole was not that it made people rich. I've been in crypto for a very long time. I think there's some guys on Twitter who did an expose of me, and they found some tweets on my old account where I had Pancake at less than $1, and
I've seen the burner.
Yeah, I made a bunch of millions on Pancake, and I've been in Bitcoin since 3000, and blah, 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 blah. So I have hundreds of millions of crypto, but my problem is not crypto as a whole. I actually love crypto as an asset, and I love crypto as a utility. If I spend large sums of money, I love doing it in crypto. It's much easier in the bank, especially in my current situation. My problem with crypto is that it instigated a culture which I didn't like. I didn't like the crypto culture as a whole, because the culture was based on getting in early, which, I mean, I guess you could argue is a skill, but to a degree is luck. Gambling, rug pulls, staying anon, hiding like a little coward in a hole, like a little bitch, and just being a degen, laughing about how you're a retard. And the whole culture was just based on infantile, asinine. The whole thing aggravated me, because typically in the real world, if you want to get rich, it's nearly impossible to get rich without learning lessons along the way, right? If you want to make millions of dollars in the real world, sooner or later, you're going to have to get staff, which means you have to learn to manage people and motivate people. You're going to learn how to fire people, how to hire people, how to tell if someone's lying to you about a vaccine. You're going to be able to learn things about tax code. You're going to be able to learn things about, no, it's true. You're going to end up needing an office. You're going to have to learn about real estate and leasing. Then you're going to need to learn about how to sell a company and present a company, or perhaps go to a bank and obtain finance and do presentations and do sales. You're going to learn all these things along the way, because money doesn't make a man. Money amplifies a man. So if you're a smart person with money, you become very smart. If you're an idiot with money, you become a real big idiot. If you're a G with money, you become the top G. So if you learn things along the way to wealth, the lessons that you learn are amplified by the money. You live a good life. The problem with crypto is there's a bunch of people who would put in $10, pull out 600 grand or 6 million or whatever they do on a shit coin. They've learned nothing along the way. They've improved themselves 0%. They gambled, they pulled it off. But they know so little about life, they don't even take that money and reinvest it in themselves. They don't even think, okay, I'm now rich. I need a personal trainer. I need to learn how to fight. I need to learn how to speak. I need to learn how to present. I need to learn. They don't even do that. They just take some more money out and go back to the gambling. They don't learn anything about themselves. So I didn't like that crypto was making people rich without people learning lessons along the way. And that's why the culture was what it was, because the crypto culture before I jumped into it a month ago was a mess. I mean, I jumped into it and people were saying, this guy's got influence. And I'd scroll up and down his page for a fraction of a second and say, he's a fucking loser. Who listens to this guy? Who gives a shit what he thinks? He's a fucking nobody. A bunch of nobodies. And then a bunch of anons, a bunch of thieves, a bunch of snakes. The whole thing was a fucking mess. It was a cesspit. Once I decided I was going to fix it, I decided I had to come up with an idea that allowed people to make money from the things they should make money from, which is hard work, which is dedication. We can use the favorite word, which is perspicacity.
It's a great word.
People who actually sit down and dedicate themselves to something and who do the right thing and learn lessons along the way, who aren't anon, who aren't hiding, who aren't trying to rug pull, who aren't trying to snake others, who aren't trying to be deceptive, who aren't trying to get in first to use others as exit liquidity. None of this PvP bullshit, just people doing the right thing. I thought perhaps there's a way that I could revolutionize the industry by instigating a coin that would allow that to be done, which is what the real world coin is going to be. And I've already explained this, I think, on a last show, either yesterday or before. And I'm going to release a very detailed video in the coming days that explains exactly how it's going to work. But before I could do anything in the crypto space, I had to prove I was the king of the crypto space. So before doing anything, I thought, well, let me just come along and just start saying tickers and see what happens. I think the first day I was in my garden, making random videos on my iPhone saying tickers, billions and billions of liquidity moved all over the place. And I wasn't trying. I mean, I wasn't paying for advertising. I wasn't going out to stadiums. I wasn't organizing world tours. I was sitting in my garden on my phone saying I'm a nigger or whatever I was saying. Garbage.
Why do you have to say that one, though?
Say the word, bro.
Dude, it's just like...
Pussy. It's because you're
vaccinated. You could go without that.
Because you're vaccinated.
You could go without that one, though, you know? It's like...
It's because you're vaccinated. Real nigger.
Dude, but it's just like...
So
you know I gotta cut it out, though, right?
Cut it out, then.
Like...
Pussy. So I'd say whatever I wanted to in my phone, and things would move. I'd control the world. And I did that to build a degree of faith within myself in the crypto industry, but everybody knew I could do that anyway. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it was all completely calculated, because I don't operate that way. It was, let me show crypto, I can do crypto.
I like that you say that, by the way.
No, because you make up plans on the fly, right?
And then you tie them back together on the back end.
Let me show crypto that I can do crypto. Okay, now I can do crypto. Now every single tweet I put out is making people rich. If I tweet about something completely unrelated, if I tweet about football, there's some coin linked to that team which pumps. If I tweet about cars, there's a coin for that car that pumps. Every single thing I tweet now is making somebody rich. And I don't want to go against God, because God does not want the lazy, anon, loser, disingenuous, rug-pulling, scumbag Jeet to get rich. So I said, well, if I have this much power, if crypto is now mine, if I control it in my hands, like Dalsim with his flames, then I had to use my power responsibly. So therefore, the crypto industry actually gave itself to me as a guardian. As a guardian angel, the crypto community came to me and said, Andrew, please take control of all of this. Save us from all of these morons and fix it. And like a damsel in distress, I sat there and looked with pity upon this pathetic industry run by dickheads and dorks and thought, fine, I'm going to launch a coin which is based on the things that it should be based on. Coincidentally, because I'm a genius and a very successful man, I guess God just gave me the good fortune of owning the largest online educational platform on the planet, university.com. So I thought, perhaps if I tie these two things together, because my school teaches hard work and my school rewards hard work, and we teach people how to make money the old-fashioned way as opposed to this gambling roulette bullshit, perhaps I can put both together and I can save the world, because that's what I've been doing my whole life anyway, saving the world, escaping people from the matrix. So that's where it all came from, and that's my plan.
Yeah, they should.
So here we go. We talk about affecting the world, right? I have a bunch of gentlemen from LA flying all the way around the world. Far. Because I made a tweet in my garden. Ha ha ha. And then you can look at this from a metaphysical level, because then you look at it a level deeper, right? We're all servants to God. Nobody is above God. We're servants to him and him alone. But you could argue that he has some favorites, perhaps. There are men who can sit in their compound and say a word and affect the entire earth and affect the lives of many other people and affect money being moved around markets and affect people flying on planes and affect people being happy or sad and affect people arguing with their girlfriend or not and affect what a BBC News presenter says that night and affect, I mean, that's an interesting situation and scenario to be in. You'd have to be a very intelligent man to sit down and understand that level of power and self-reflect to the point to make sure you don't do anything which is genuinely detrimental to society. It's hard now. You have to be careful with every single thing you say. Even when I say that word you don't like me saying, why am I saying it?
Why do you say it?
Okay, well, this is what we're talking about now. This is what we're talking about. Am I saying it because I'm irresponsible? Am I saying it because I'm half black? Am I saying it because I'm a dumbass? Or am I saying it because I believe that part of the matrix programming inside of the humanity that we're living in today is that certain words have been weaponized to the point that nobody can even hear them without feeling uncomfortable. Nazi is one of them. Holocaust. There's certain things you can't talk about. We don't live in a world of objectivity anymore. I could sit and say that Hitler was a bad person. I don't like Hitler. But he built the highways in Germany. The reason Germany has highways, Hitler built them. You're a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I don't agree with anything he said. I'm just saying that he ordered the construction of highways. You're a Nazi. People can't listen to you say that a road was built. I could say Hitler wore shoes. I wear shoes.
Those are nice shoes.
Thank you. It doesn't mean I agree with anything he says, but when I say that, will you say that you wear shoes like Hitler?
Well, I do wear shoes.
Okay, and who else wore shoes?
He wore shoes.
What's his name?
Hitler.
See, you're scared to say it. Why? It's an objective fact.
That's true.
The fact we can't say objective facts anymore without people getting nervous and afraid is the reason we're in the situation we're in. The reason we're living in a false reality is because you're going to go through life seeing things, knowing things, and afraid to say them. Because they've programmed fear into your heart to the point where you won't say what you think and see. So when I say that word, I have a past because I'm part black, but I don't say it because of that. I say it to prove to the world that it's just a fucking word. And if someone comes up to me and says it to me, I don't give a shit. I don't find offense in it. I don't care. And you could say it to my black family. They don't care either. It's a fucking word. If you're going to be that controlled by a word, you're not free from the plantation anyway. You're just enslaved by something else. So what I'm doing is challenging social paradigms. And I'm doing that to try and free minds. I'm not saying words to be crass. You're still looking at the code in the matrix. You're thinking so shallow. You think I'm saying things for shock factor, which I guess I am.
You didn't like that.
Well, no, because I am saying it for shock factor to shock people into understanding the reality of this world, not for shock factor for fucking likes. I can take a piss and get likes. I don't give a fuck about likes. So you're not thinking deeper than what it actually is. So that's the reason I say that word. So I have monumental global influence. I have to be very careful what I do with it.
For sure.
And when I jumped into the crypto space and proved my influence exists there and far surpasses any of these fucking nerds who are supposed to be somebody in crypto, I decided that if there was going to be any coins associated with me, they should promote what God wants promoted, which is hard work and diligence and brotherhood and teamwork. This is why I've said, you're not going to get rich from the real world token if you don't join my school. And when you join my school, there's a fitness campus and you better go to the gym and you better post your results. Otherwise, you will not increase your power level inside of the school and you will not benefit from the airdrop. There will be hundreds of thousands of young men going into a gym and training hard specifically to get the airdrop of my token. That's karma from God. No one can call me a bad person for putting people in good shape. That's the reason I put these things together.
Karmic retribution.
Karmic retribution.
I said it right too.
This is exactly it. This is the karmic retribution. And then you look at my life. Once again, how come I have this power? Why do I have the power to get people to fly across the world? Why do I have the power that despite the highest level matrix attack a man can possibly suffer, I still have money? Despite every single MSM article being negative against me constantly for over 3 years, despite a Romanian dungeon sitting with cockroaches and my brother staring at a fucking wall in the dark for 4 months, despite whatever they put me through, I come out on top endlessly. No matter who they sit me in front of, the best interviewers on the planet, I destroy them. Every single time they sit there with the indictment and their bullshit papers and they lose. The fact that everybody believes me and everybody likes me and nobody agrees with any of this shit they say about me. How have I done that without karmic retribution? Is that fucking luck? It's karmic retribution because I know I'm doing the right thing. You will benefit from my airdrop if you train in the gym. If you don't train in the gym, you're not going to benefit from it. There's no other crypto that will say that. Any other crypto is going to say, get in early, know some guy, lie to someone, snake someone, make a hidden wallet, a bunch of fucking clown shit. I'm not interested in clown shit. It would piss God off. The one thing I am not going to do in the world today is annoy him because I need him more than ever, which is why I haven't made any money, which is why I haven't rugged anyone. I mean, since I launched my coin, I think 7 or 8 celebrities have rugged. Like 10 or 12. I don't even want to say names because they'll see it. Because everything I say, people see. They know who they are. And they're just rugging. There's no chance of me ever doing that. But it's hedonistic. And hedonism is one of the...
It does serve no purpose.
Well, hedonism is one of the largest problems we have with society today. I can go down now how you're supposed to live a life of duty and honor and only do the things that you do because you're supposed to do them, not because they feel good. People wake up in the world today now and say, I want to do what feels good, which is the path of hedonism. But often, you're supposed to do the things that don't feel good. It doesn't feel good to eat right. It doesn't feel good to train in the gym. It doesn't feel good to tell the truth. It doesn't feel good to be dutiful, etc. It doesn't feel good to stay on the Titanic and die so the women can get off. It doesn't feel good, but you're supposed to because you're a man. But men have become hedonistic. You can't reproduce and make beautiful children from butt sex. So there's no reason to do it with a man or a woman, truthfully, with either one. But I don't know. You live in LA, so perhaps.
No comment on that.
Well,
I live on
there you
Santa
go.
Monica Boulevard.
Everyone seems to think it's great for some reason. I think it's. I mean, if you're having butt sex with girls, you're basically gay to me. I don't see the point. You're born on the fields of Mongolia, amongst the wheat. You learn to ride a horse. You learn to fight. Get your guys together. You go and start to conquer the lands near you. What you do is you marry your daughters off to the kings. So you go there and say, you get to still be king, but you're going to marry my daughter, so you're part of my family, and I'm the real king.
So what's the psychology behind why Genghis Khan did it? Like, why does he want it?
Well,
just because
okay, so now you're asking me. But perhaps this is a philosophical question which is too large even for the top G. Maybe some men are just built different. Perhaps, sir, if you want to keep it crypto-specific, perhaps the entire world we live in was built by the unreasonable. Because men like you, who are scared of the target on their back and want to be reasonable, and who are scared and thinking, oh, maybe it's not worth it. Men like you, and there's nothing wrong with people like you, but there's men like you and there's men like me. Men like you don't think, let's build the taller building. Let's sail the 7 seas. Let's explore the unseen land. Let's go conquer that tribe over there. But they're fierce. There's a target on our heads. They might kill us. They've never lost a war. Yeah, but we're built different. So we're going to go fight them anyway. The entire world was built by unreasonable people. The roads you drove here on and this nice hotel we're in was...
It is nice.
Oh, there you go. It was built by unreasonable people. Satoshi Nakamoto himself, was he a reasonable person? Did he sit and go, we have Swift transfer and it's fine? Or do you think, you know what, this is a different paradigm? Why would I invent Bitcoin? Because I can. I see an opportunity. It could be done. It would change things. Some people just do things because they can be done. In fact, everything you enjoy about the modern world comes from that exact imperative, which is born inside of the masculine realm. That's what men do. Now, Satoshi had to disappear because they put a target on his head. But this is the only reason we're having a conversation in the first place. This is how the world works, right? Genghis Khan got a target on his head, no doubt about that. That's the way the world is. So if you're going to sit and say, why would you take risk to push a boundary because it puts a target on your head and there's risk? Well, then why did Christopher Columbus get on a boat? I don't know. You tell me.
Valid.
Maybe he should have just sat at home with his money, getting blowjobs, having butt sex, and no, have kids. Don't take any risks. Don't put a target on your head. Why do that? You could just have butt sex and stay home. He had plenty of money for butt sex. He could have got endless butt sex slaves and just had butt sex like you do in LA. You could have sat around having a degenerate hedonistic life and nobody would fucking remember his name. Or perhaps he thought, fuck it. I'm going to risk my life and do something different. The target on my head doesn't cross my mind. I don't care. Because God's already decided what's going to happen to me. And I am simply one of his servants doing the best thing I can possibly do, which is doing my best to restore honor and faithfulness to a decaying society inside of a failing Western empire. So if I can financially incentivize young men to work hard, I believe God will favor me for doing that. And if I pay the price for doing that here in the physical realm and end up in a jail cell, I believe the karmic retributions are worth it. So I don't give a fuck. That is why. And if you don't understand that reasoning, then you don't also understand why Genghis Khan, worshiping whoever he worshipped, decided to set Vienna on fire. That's what some men just do.
Do you think you're going to go back to jail?
I've never thought about that.
Okay.
Which may sound strange to people,
Really?
considering I'm in the middle of a court case. But I don't think it matters.
But you're prepared to go back to jail?
I'm prepared to go to jail, prepared not to go to jail, prepared to live, prepared to die, prepared to walk, prepared to swim. If I go to jail, I go to jail. If I don't, I don't. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't understand. I'm not a coward. I'm not going to run. If God decides I should go to jail, then I'll go to jail. It's fine. Oh, hello, go to bed. What, are we going to sit around and cry about it? I mean, my enemies want me to care, right? Because that's the process is to punishment. They want me to sit around worrying. Perhaps I'll go to jail. They want me concerned. They want me scared. But if I don't give a single fuck, then they can't really punish me, can they? I don't care. I mean, if you're suicidal, dying isn't a punishment. So if I'm not scared of jail, then go to jail is not a punishment. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm Andrew Tate in jail, and I'm Andrew Tate outside of jail. I'm glad I'm me. I mean, I'm at the point now where we have the dichotomy of making me a legend by sending me to jail or making me a legend by showing me, trying to set me up.
It's kind of a win-win right there.
Oops. So they lose. I mean, I'm really not concerned. I'm built different. I mean, I will go to jail and I'll do my push-ups.
I don't think I'm in the position yet that Genghis Khan was in as far as power, influence, experience, level of life, but I think, I don't know, I think kind of to your takes, like, it's parallel to some men are built different. It's like, you do some things because you can. You get to a certain point. It's like, I can do this thing. He can't. You can. They can. I'm going to do it because I can. I think there's elements of it that's like a test of your abilities. Like, can I do this thing? Somebody told you you can't. Somebody thinks that you can't. Like you said, they have a massive army. They have 100,000 Christians that are ready to fucking battle. You're not going to win this war. You're going to spread yourself too thin. Don't do it. Okay, well, you told me not to do it. I'm going to do it. So I think it's say what you're going to say. But I think, I don't know. I think for myself, I haven't been there yet, but you get to a certain point where you do some things just because you can, and you can.
I mean, it was an experience, and that's what life is for. Lots of people are going through the world trying to get experiences, but they're so obsessed with getting the positive experiences that they never really experience life at all. People go through life and they say, I want to make money on a crypto coin, and I want to get rich, and I want to buy a Lamborghini, and then I want to get a beautiful girlfriend, I want to go on a boat in Miami, and all this fucking positive, but there's no light without dark. You could do all of those things, and you'd still be miserable if you didn't experience the dark. If you have not experienced true misery and pain, you'll never ever be happy. So if you're going through life as a man and you're looking for experiences over comfort, which is what you should be doing, which is what the great explorers of the world have always done, because they weren't looking for comfort. Comfort's at home. Experience is out there. All the sailors, all the warriors, they were looking for experiences. So I love the negative experiences along with the positive experiences. I love jail because it's an experience. Is it a bad experience? Sure. But then my bedroom is beautiful once again, like it's never been before.
Oh, how was that first sleep back?
Well, but this is the point. Everyone's obsessed with the positive experiences, but nobody is chasing any kind of negative experience, which is why, I mean, I chose fighting, right? Yeah. But I believe every man should be choosing to do something which is extremely hard, which they hate, which sucks, because you don't appreciate life at all without it. The reason people are taking so many drugs, for example, because I'm fervently anti-drugs. I've never tried a drug in my life, never even tried weed. The reason people never.
You never smoked a blunt?
Never.
Wow.
Never. The reason people chase higher highs all the time, and the reason they're constantly taking drugs and trying to fuck new pussy and drink more alcohol and chasing higher highs all the time, is because they don't experience any lows. So you always want a higher high, but I promise you, the higher high is fine if you balance it with a little bit of low. If you bounce down there for a week and come back to where you were, you're good. Constantly chasing higher highs is hedonism, which ends in one place. It always ends in a spiral, a downward spiral, right? And butt sex, like the whole city of LA.
You're obsessed with butt sex.
Well, hey, bro, it's your city. So you need to stay away from constantly chasing those things. You need to artificially manufacture some lows. I chose fighting because fighting will do that for you. It's hard, it's stressful, you're worried, you train all the time, you're exhausted, you win, you lose, you get hurt, you go hospital. There's a lot of negatives in it. But there's not enough negatives in men's lives today. But you're asking me about jail as if it's a good or bad thing, or if I'm worried about going back. But to me, all experiences are on an even level playing field. Whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, it doesn't matter. There's experiences, and then there's comfort. And it doesn't matter if you're a good experience or a bad experience, as long as you're on the experiences side, I'm happy for you. My father died, which was a negative experience, but you learn a lot from it. It was an experience. It was a period of life where I was learning and growing, as was jail, as was sitting in the Bugatti meeting, as was buying a jet, as will be conquering the crypto space, as will be getting fucking stabbed when he finally gets hold of me and I can't block it with my hand. That's life.
How long ago did your father die?
8 years.
8 years. And what were you doing? Where were you in life 8 years ago?
I was here in Romania. I was in a hotel about to commentate on a fight show.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then an hour later, I commentated on the fight show.
What do you think your father would think of how Andrew Tate has evolved?
Well, I think he wouldn't be surprised at all, because I was built to be this way. And I was never built for all the positive, happy experiences of life. And he would know that I am representing him the way I should be, because people talk about him because of how fantastic I am. Nobody would talk about my dad if I wasn't me, and I'm me, and they want to know how I ended up being me, so they talk about my dad, which is why I'm going to live forever, because my son is going to be doing the same thing. My son's going to be so fantastic, they're going to say, but he's Andrew Tate's son. That's why he's fantastic. And he's not going to be fantastic through positive experiences. Men only become good men through negativity. Women are actually the opposite. Men who have been through a lot of pain are very kind. I would argue that when I see a man who's been through a lot of shit, it makes you kinder. You don't want it to be put on anyone else. The biggest gangsters and killers and evil people sometimes can be the kindest. When women go through a lot of pain, they grow bitter and evil and mean. They don't grow kind. Men grow kind from pain. I think that the worst men on earth are the ones who haven't had enough pain. Those are the arrogant pieces of shit people. You're supposed to suffer as a man. You're born to suffer, which ties back into my whole crypto project. You're not supposed to get rich off a fucking stupid meme coin like that without doing any work. You're supposed to suffer. The whole reason God put men on this planet is to fucking suffer. And the best men are the ones who suffered the most. I wouldn't be top G if I didn't suffer more than anyone else. You're a better man than everyone else if your life was a fucking mess and it was a hardship. Because you're not what happens to you, you are how you react to it. And the best men on earth are men who have had their parents die, their best friends betray them, their girl betray them, thrown in jail, their money stolen, stabbed, robbed. And every time something happened to them, they sat there and they looked in the mirror and said, what can I learn from this? How can I stop this happening? Those are the best men. Those are the men respect. Those are the men women want. Why do women love scars? Look, they tried to kill him and they can't. That's why I want him. The best men suffered. You find a man who's never been through suffering and nobody gives a shit about him. Men don't like him and women don't like him. Men are no good without it. So you're asking about jail, and the reason I'm struggling to answer the question is because jail is an experience, and all experiences are involved in the tapestry required for me to become the best possible version of myself. If I go to Rahova jail, the hardest jail in Europe, for the next 10 years and sit and suffer in a room with cockroaches, I would argue at the age of 60, I might be a better version of myself than if I don't go. So part of me may not want to go, but part of me is perfectly fucking prepared to go. Put me in that fucking room, because there will be a version of me that exists in the future when it's all over and done, where I'm better than the version of me would be if I did not go. So I'm unafraid of it. I don't care.
But explain to me the psychology of like an 18-year-old kid who threw $1,000 into some meme coin, like made $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Like, what does that do to you psychologically?
Oh yeah, he's fucked. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen to an 18-year-old kid.
Can you fix it?
Well, only if you make him understand how important hard work is. Yeah. I mean, the best way to fix it is to grab him by his throat, right? And to beat the shit out of him so he learns that his money doesn't actually matter in the real world, because the real world is violence. Beat the fuck out of him, he'll start thinking, shit, I need to fight. Now I need to protect myself. Now I feel vulnerable, I feel anxious, I feel afraid, I need to go to the gym, I need to train. That would fix him. Someone needs to kick the shit out of him. So that's the first thing that should happen, because that's the real world. Problem is, if you have that kind of money when you're young, you're never gonna wanna work hard ever again. If you've ever worked hard ever at all, you're never gonna end up with a real job, right? You just made $3 million from the sky. You think anyone can tempt you with a wage or a salary or delayed gratification of going and studying in school and getting a 3-year degree so that later on you can get a $100,000 a year job? Never. All you're gonna do is continue to gamble and hope you're gonna pull it off again. So you become a gambling addict, firstly. Secondly, you're going to try and get everything through money. Because you're 18, you lack experience with simple things. Let's take women, right? He's never got women when he's broke. The men with money who were once broke and had women when broke are good with women with money. Yeah. But the men with money who never got girls when they were broke are fucking fish, and they get fished. It's like they get wheeled in and wrecked. 18-year-old's gonna be chasing pussy because he's got money now, but he has nothing else a woman actually wants and no experience. So she's gonna be fleecing him left, right, and center. He's also a robbery target. I've been in rooms. Motherfuckers sitting there with no money, bright ideas. I've been sitting there. They'll see his watch and they'll see what club he's in. So he's a robbery target now on top of it all. Yeah. He's not security conscious because he's never been in those rooms. He's never seen it from either side. So that's the worst thing that can happen to a young man. He's skipping all the struggle, all the pain and suffering he's gonna attempt to skip with money. He's gonna end up suffering more in the end, but he's gonna just lose. I think that getting rich when you're young as a man is probably one of the worst things that can happen. Damn. You don't want to get rich to your late 20s. You want to spend all your 20s broke and grinding. Broke, grinding, training, making girls like you for who you are and your fucking backpack. Being funny, being interesting. That's what you need to do. I spent my 20s winning world title fights and living in girls' houses they were fucking cooking for me. I didn't have any money. Yeah. But that's how I grew up. Yeah. If I had money at 18, 19, I would have skipped so many experiences and so many hard lessons. I'd be a fraction of the man I am today. So I don't like the idea of kids just gambling and getting lucky. Yeah. Now, of course, that's an anomaly because the majority of kids gamble and lose.
Yeah, of course. They
gamble and lose. So then you have to analyze, why are kids gambling on meme coins in the first place? And the reason for that is because the matrix is now so broken. Yeah. Our fiat currency system has become so corrupted.
Feels like the only way out.
It's the only way out. So you're saying to these young kids, well, you can gamble on a shit coin and have a very low probability of getting some money. Or you can go to school and get in debt and get a $100,000 a year job and be poor forever and be stuck inside the matrix. And then you're going to have to go to a job where you have to call a man a woman, and you're going to have to wear a pride flag t-shirt, or you're going to lose your job, or you're going to have to get 15 COVID injections, you're going to lose your job, and you're going to become a slave. Yeah. So they're going to sit there and go, well, I don't want to be a slave to the matrix. My only chance is to gamble. And another reason I have to gamble is because of social media. Because all the women I'm trying to DM, all the bitches I want to fuck are on boats. I ain't got a boat. They're in Lambos. I ain't got a Lambo. That girl's 18 years old. I'm 18. She's on a billionaire's boat.
What am I going to do?
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And that's actually the beauty of the chessboard. You look at the game of chess. The king moves one square at a time. The queen just zips across the board. That's what women do. I know women through their affiliation with me. They drive sports cars, or they go to beautiful places. They fly on private jets. The chance of them achieving those things off their own back and intellect is fucking zero. Meet the right guy. Done. As a man, you can't just meet the right person. Here. Doesn't work that way. The only thing you own is your soul and who you are. So, firstly, I have an organization called the War Room, which is a global brotherhood. We have 4,000 members. So I'm going to tell everybody the answer. The answer is to join the War Room as soon as you make any kind of money, because the War Room is all about self-improvement. So the first thing you should do when you make money, especially that young, is invest in yourself. The War Room is one avenue, but you should get a speaking coach, and you should get a personal trainer. And
speaking coach?
You should learn how to talk and articulate your ideas.
Yeah, I like that.
You should learn how to speak.
Nobody really says that.
Well, but if you can't make people understand why you think what you think, how can you get along in the world?
Yeah. You
should be able to think of an idea and succinctly and compendiously explain it to people so they sit there and say, yes, I agree with you. You should get a fight coach. You should learn to fight. You can go to a racetrack, be a race car driver, learn how to race. You should improve yourself. You should sit and say, what skills can I learn that I can carry with me? I mean, if you get good at basketball, you need a basket and a ball.
Of course.
But if you get good at fighting, you have it. If you're good at speaking, you have it. So you should sit there and make a list of all the things that you'll always have with you, and you should upgrade your character. You understand in video games, to upgrade your character, you'll see that some levels cannot be beaten unless you upgrade your character. No matter how good you are, you have to level up your character to beat the game. Well, the levels of life are the same. You're not going to survive Romanian jail if you don't level up your character. You're going to end up preyed upon. So you have to upgrade your character. So if you get money young, that's a massive bonus if you have the right mentality, if your mentality is self-improvement. Now, if your mentality isn't self-improvement, if your mentality is what most of these people's mentalities is, which is arrogance, they didn't get it through luck. They got it because they're smart. They're so smart, they're smarter than everyone else, and they got it because they're so intelligent, and they'll be able to do it again, and God loves them, and they're great. Well, then you're going to see across the next 10 years how much God doesn't love you, when the only woman who will suck your dick eventually ends up cheating on you with your best fucking friend because you're a dork with money. Then you're going to see that nobody actually gives a shit about you, and you're going to learn the hard way. If you remove the arrogance from your heart and understand you're not special, you made money the easiest possible way in one of the cultures or one of the periods of human history where it's easy as possible to make money. It's never been easier. Yeah. Making money in the 1980s.
How long does this last?
Well, exactly. But it's never been easier.
Yeah.
You're not a genius. You're not God. You're a dumbass who got in early on a coin with pure luck and gambling. Now you need to improve yourself and upgrade your character before you meet real tests in life, because they're coming. Now, if you're too arrogant to do that, then you deserve what's going to happen to you.
All right, let me ask you this, and I'll throw it to you, Malcolm.
Sorry to interrupt, but you asked me how can they can keep the money, and this is the final point. If they upgrade their character, they won't need to keep the money because they'll be able to make.
They'll be able to run it back. That's actually a great take. I'm gonna clip that.
Whereas if they don't upgrade their character, they're going to be stuck in their bedroom, jerking off to Pornhub and gambling on meme coins for the rest of their lives.
Because you could, if they took it, they kind of did take it all from you. You could run it back.
Oh, you can't take everything from me unless you kill me.
Because
I'm Andrew Tate. I would argue, with no scientific evidence whatsoever, that if you're sitting there trading meme coins and you do 500 push-ups a day, you'll make more money. Now, people will ask me how, why, and I'll say because God will like you more. And you may believe me or you don't believe me. That's up to you. But I would argue in between trading meme coins, if you did 500 push-ups a day and you avoided Pornhub.com and you drank water and you told your mother you loved her very much and you were nice to people and you didn't insult people you've never met on Twitter and you've been a good person, that you would make more money. That's my view. You can believe me or not believe me. It's up to you. But I think the problem with the culture is they think it's all down to just being an anon, being a snake, and jumping in and out of graphs and being on charts, and they don't think that this world has any magic to it. The world is based on things that nobody understands, including me. There's a reason why A car can crash and one man will die and one man will not. There's a reason why a plane crashes and someone dies and someone doesn't. There's a reason that none of us will understand, and there's karmic retribution in all things. So I think the crypto community has forgotten that, and they think they can just steal and lie and cheat, and there's no karmic retribution in any of this. So I'm not mad at them for trying to make money from crypto. I made a bunch of money with Pancake. Yeah. I'm not mad at them for being smart enough to see where the money is.
Yeah.
But they're too stupid to see that there's something real happening behind the code in the matrix, and that's the mistake they're making. When you inspire masculinity in men, they're naturally resistant to slavery, as we spoke about earlier. So I think that as more and more men follow me, it's going to be harder and harder for the matrix itself to instigate and implement any of their bullshit slavery agendas, which they're coming up with in real time and trying to do right now. I know I've been detrimental to the world conquest plans of 2030. I know I have. So I have to be very careful with what I say, and I just try my very best to inspire bravery within men. I just want men to not be afraid of taking the brave choice anymore. That's all they have to do. That's all it takes for us to resist the global oppression which they're going to try and bestow upon us and the future generations. If that gets me killed, it gets me killed. I don't think I'll be here forever. But I think that a world with more masculinity in it is a better world. And I believe that because masculinity is designed to protect, and it's designed to do things which are bigger and greater than yourself, and to not only live selfishly and hedonistically, to look at the world and say, this isn't about me, it's about my tribe, my culture, my religion, my country. This is about things I care about that aren't me, and I'm prepared to suffer for the good of them. That's why men suffer working bullshit jobs for their families. That's what men do. We're built to suffer. So I think inspiring that inside of young men is going to be a fantastic thing for the culture and society at large. I think that's the reason we're in the trouble we're in today. The reason they got away with the COVID scams, because not enough men were doing what I was doing, which was breaking the law because it was the law. Don't go outside. Going outside. Because I know this is a lie. You need to, don't drive. Driving. Don't fly. Flying. If everyone was like me, it would have been over in a week. Everyone was scared. So we have to try and instill masculinity in men. And all the things I talk about, bravery, brotherhood, all these things are basically anti-oppression tools. If you have a bunch of brave men in a group, how are you going to make them do anything? You can't. The SWAT team's hard. They don't want to listen. That's what it takes to resist the slavery, because I saw an interesting quote. Someone said something the other day. You have to know darkness. You have to know your own darkness to see darkness. Ooh. And it's completely true. And I think there's a lot of people out there who don't understand how evil the people in charge of the world actually are. And the reason I know that they're evil is because I know my own darkness, and I've seen all of the darkness of humanity throughout the different echelons I've climbed up. I've seen the darkness of those rooms of people sitting there planning to rob his Rolex. I've seen the darkness of sitting in rooms where they're planning murders and the guy gets stabbed. I've seen darkness of people trying to kill me myself. I've seen the darkness of a government locking me up knowing I've done nothing wrong. I've seen endless darkness. And you realize that the people in charge of the world have very little interest in you. They don't give a shit about what happens to anybody. They want power and they want control. And they don't do it for financial gain. They do it for their ego. This is what's so interesting. We can tie back into what I was saying earlier, because you're asking me my motivations for doing things. If I were to say to you ego, you would say, nah. Why the fuck do you think they locked everyone in their house? You think it was for money? They print the money. They don't need money, they print it. It was so they could laugh. It's so Nancy Pelosi could go get a haircut while you had to stay in your house. And it was on video and she showed everyone. And they continued with the lockdown afterwards. Ha ha ha. It's so that you put a mask on to walk in the restaurant, take it off to eat, and put it on to go for a piss. It's so they can laugh at you. It is for their ego. And the reason I know it's for their ego, because I know why I do what I do, which is the same reason why Genghis Khan conquered fucking Vienna. Because any kind of person who gains that type of power is ego-driven. So why did they enslave humanity? Because it was funny. And how do you stop them from enslaving humanity? Well, I can't do it by myself. Rambo doesn't exist. What did I say earlier? Teamwork, brotherhood. If enough men stand up and say no, they have a problem. One man does, no matter how powerful he is, even if he's the top G. Doesn't work. And I can tell you that because my brother and I were trying and nobody fucking listened. But if we had more people, they would have. That's the reality. So I think the impact I'm going to have on the world is a good one. Because if you have men who are brave and who are not afraid, you have to, the only way you can convince them to do things is to show them that it is positive. It's a good thing for them, or a good thing for those they care about, or a good thing for their nation, or a good thing for their religion, or a good thing for their race, or a good thing for their creed. You can't force their compliance with fear, which is what they did with COVID. They didn't say, stay in your house for the good of the world. Well, they did, but they did it via fear. Be afraid. someone's going to die, and for the good, you need to stay in. The old people will die. They used fear. But if you can't use fear to make men comply because they're not afraid, then you have to use other reasons. And you have to be far more honest, because fear is easy to invent. Fear is an emotion you can invent. They can say there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex outside. They can say Russia's about to nuke Bucharest. They can say there's a disease you can't see. They can say there's a terrorist downstairs right now in the lobby. Stay in your room. Fear you can just make up. You ain't even got to see anything.
You don't got to see it.
They can just call and say there's a terrorist. Stay in your room. We'll all stay in our room. Fear they invent. But motivation and convincing a man that what you want him to do is going to be good has to at least make some degree of logical sense. It's a far harder sell. And that's why I believe reinstalling masculinity is going to be such a positive thing for Western society. I believe we're on our last chance. If we don't do it now, it's over. Because the robots are coming, and the Western hegemony is falling, and the American empire is collapsing, and you have Russia and China and these other countries which are teaming up, which are patriarchal still. We live in a gynocracy. We live in a society where women are in charge of everything, because everyone's just chasing pussy all day, and women just get to walk around and live free lives. And we're going to lose globally. And it's so interesting about these things, because like feminists, they scream, smash the patriarchy, baby. You know, like, I find these things amazing. I have nothing against Taylor Swift. I've never met her. But she has a song, and in one of her songs, she goes, fuck the patriarchy. And all the women inside the stadium are saying, fuck the patriarchy. Men built that stadium. Men built the stage she's standing on. Men made the guitar she's using. And men went to work to pay for their daughters to go listen to this shit. What kind of father is even letting his daughter go? If my daughter said, I want to go listen to someone say, fuck the patriarchy, I say, you better get a job. Because the patriarchy is about to fucking buy your ticket, dummy. So this shows how weak men are. They're sending their own fucking offspring to be indoctrinated against them. Then they wonder why their daughter doesn't listen when they say, keep your legs closed, don't make it OnlyFans. And then she's turning around going, yeah, patriarchy. Fucking asleep clown world. But it's so amazing about the natural order of things under God's will, because God has created society in a way where men and women are the perfect combination. We're two halves of a whole. But men are supposed to do the protection and provision, and women are supposed to do the nurturing and the reproduction. If you have a society like ours where that's inverted and men are not allowed to provide and protect anymore because that's toxic in some way, well, then you have a society that collapses and loses to the other patriarchal societies. So when China and Russia rule the world, guess what comes back? The patriarchy, just not our one. So you can't escape it. Yeah. So when these women are saying, fuck the patriarchy, you're saying, get rid of the warriors who will protect us from the other patriarchy. Good luck, you know? Have you ever seen that meme where it says what women think they'll do in the end, in the apocalypse? Actually, yeah. When there's like them with the bow and arrows and what they'll actually do, and they're all on street corners? Bro, like, men have a job to do. So we need to reinstall it, or otherwise our civilization is over. And when I say these things which are provocative, like telling the white man, have some kids, hello, have some children. I know black brothers who have 11 kids with 7 women. You have no kids.
Is that positive?
I mean, that's another argument. Here's another very interesting argument. We can talk about it. Is that positive? Perhaps not. Who's going to raise them? Who's going to pay for them? The white man. Your taxes pay for them. So who's really the dummy? Him or you?
I guess that's fair.
Well, I mean, the white man is going to build a nation, build an empire, build Europe, build the cradle of civilization, then allow it to be invaded and pay for everyone invaders' kids. Well, who's the fucking dummy?
Who's the dummy?
Yeah. The fuck? Try that over there. You go there and have a bunch of kids and tell them to pay for them. I mean, the power vacuums get filled. If I leave $1 million out on my doorstep and go to sleep, someone's going to rob me. Is it my fault or their fault? If I said to you, I got robbed for $1 million, you say, no way, what happened? I got $1 million cash, I put it outside in the field, and I went to sleep, and someone stole it. You'd say, well, you wouldn't say, why did they steal it? You'd say, why did you put that there? Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. So we can argue if that's a good thing or not. We can argue whether that's right or not. But guess who's right?
Might is right.
Who wins?
Yeah.
They're gonna outpopulate you in your own country. Yeah. So who's right? Yeah. They are, and you're paying the bill, sir. Taxes are due. Pay them. So what do you want to say?
Yeah.
It's the reality.
I know you have to ask about the downfall of the West. before.
Oh yeah. I mean, you just talk a lot about the downfall of the West.
It's over. It's over. Nothing you see. It's fucking. We're on a sinking ship. We're on the Titanic. Hello. The West is done. We're on the Titanic. It's done because the Taylor Swift songs. The patriarchy's gone. It's done.
Is Taylor Swift the reason the West isn't?
Of course not.
Free fall.
Taylor Swift signed contracts and got told to sing that song. I don't know if she even believes her or not. Probably not. She goes out with a football player. I'm sure he's probably telling her what to do all the time. Make me a sandwich. She's probably fine. I don't know her. My point is, the reason the West is falling is because there's no patriarchal protection provision. That's why it's falling in real time. People always say, oh, there's no kids. Well, there's no kids because there's no marriage. Or why don't men want to get married? Why the fuck would a man get married today? Men wanted to get married when they got a virgin who listened. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm telling you why men got married. Now they're saying, get married. Oh, you want me to go to Miami, find a girl who's been fucked by 35 dudes, then have a $10 million wedding for her to put on her Instagram? Is that what you want me to do? Do I look like a dickhead? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not fucking stupid. And then they're going to sit and go, oh, there's no marriage. Well, duh. Like, well, duh. So then there's no kids. Duh. And then the only way to do it is have kids out of wedlock, and then who pays for them?